call together planning, Town of St. Paul Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024, the Town of St. Paul. First order of business is the roll call.
Carrie Betts. Eric Goers.
Here.
Timmy Perez.
Here.
Carrie Sprague.
Here.
Ian Kaminsky. Fred Trevino. Three, we're good.
Alright, we can get more. Alright, so second order of business is to review the meetings, minutes for the last meeting. And when you've done that, I'll accept a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept the minutes from this meeting.
And a second.
I second that.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, so. Okay, number 3 in the regular agenda, to discuss and consider the following items. Discussion only for purposes of review and proposed changes to chapter 14 ordinance, our ordinances, chapter 14, article 14, section 14-1, 14-2, 14-3, and 14-4 of the Town of St. Paul Code of Ordinance. Before we get started, okay, so this meeting tonight is just the start of probably a good period of time to review the Town of St. Paul, Texas ordinances. It's gonna take us a while to get through there. It'll take us a while to get our feet under us so that we can move a little bit quicker. We need to make sure that they're as current as possible with Texas laws, since Texas laws change periodically, or regularly, I guess. Add things that may be missing, correct the interpretation, et cetera, et cetera. This is a meeting with a discussion amongst the P&Z of St. Paul, Texas. I've been through these projects like this before, not necessarily just ordinances, but other things, and potentially they can be drawn out. It depends on how quickly we can get through them. There's some that'll probably be very simple, and some that'll be a little bit, maybe not as simple. Keep in mind, the goal is to have a good, up-to-date ordinance for the town. Most ordinances, my guess, will remain a lot like they are today. It may take a few sessions to determine the points that may need to be changed or may need to be reviewed to make sure they're legal. Ask again that I'll remain professional with it, no outbursts or no cursing. That's gonna be a problem tonight. And with that, we can get started. Again, this is mostly on the parking. As stated, 14. Eric, you came in with some feedback as a citizen. Do you wanna kinda go through that? I mean, I read it, I'm sure Tammy's read it.
Sure.
You wanna go through it?
Citizen ordinance feedback form. Submitted a while back just to better define the church or other place of worship section here. Is just one sentence, one parking spot for 3 seats in the main auditorium. It just seems like it could be better defined to include pews or prayer runs or no chairs at all. Just be more square foot or more inches of length of pews. Also is some quoted other cities here, the Arlington, and the city of Dallas. As the town grows and more churches are wanting to move to town, just seems like it needs to be better defined as to what the 3-seat space is. If a place doesn't have 3 seats in the whole building.
Okay.
was looking over some other, city ordinances. One of the things that they do talk about is the lighting. I don't know, I hadn't gotten as far as to look in ours, but we did have that survey, they did that light survey for the church parking lot that recently came through. We need to make sure that that's documented somewhere. And then also, I saw in one, and it was talking about when a building's occupancy increases. I guess that would still go through maybe, a special use permit or something, some sort of permit that they would have to go through in order to increase parking, but, I think that's something that we need to consider, since most of the churches are small, like the one on, Lakeway, it's expanding. The other proposed ones, they're starting with a rudimentary building, but they could expand in the future, so. And as far as this is concerned, I think this is very much needed. Exactly what it should be, whether it should be the 28 square feet of floor area or 25% max capacity. Not certain which one.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at this stuff, so it's all coming back to me now. But I think lighting is kind of a different like topic or different.
They had it in the parking section, so that's why, I was trying to bring that up really quick to look up and see if we had anything, because it's relevant to the parking area, to have a well-lit parking area. So it might go hand in hand there, but if we already have that.
You know,
It is in there, I don't know if it's in the 14, 1 through 4.
Yeah, hopefully that's somewhere else, but this
Because it was-
just seems to be about square feet space and chairs.
I can say that I think a lot of churches don't have fixed pews anymore, they have chairs. So, I mean, at least.
Theater seating.
Well, it could be those chairs hooked
Yeah.
together, and they rearrange the room to be tables or whatever they wanna do in that area. Doesn't necessarily increase the number of people, which is what you're basically saying, it's tough to determine, I guess.
The count.
So I think that probably does need more definition. What I did see, and Eric, I got a question, you mentioned the International Building Code. I don't think there is a standard, amongst the US, in the states. It seems to be states, towns, local, they all seem to use different things. And I guess, the only thing I would say is that when we get through manipulating or tweaking these, or however you wanna say it, we're probably gonna have to, I mean, it's okay to make things a little bit more lenient, but I think if we make things a lot stricter, we're gonna get ourselves in trouble. You know what I mean, Eric?
Yeah, this following the IBC, it's actually a quote from the International Building Code about chairs not fixed 7 square foot per person. So that's taken directly from there.
Yeah, I know, that wasn't what I was saying, basically, I understand that, there's other ones, though, I did some research on, like, Parker, Texas, and, Lucas, that are more the size of us. And they had pretty much the same type of stuff, they might have said 28 square foot per person, when there isn't a fixed seat.
City of Dallas.
City of Dallas, I think, said the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some consistency with other, yeah, there is. Yeah, it's not. I think what we need to do is we need to come up with some points that we would like changed or suggest a change, or things that we think should be looked at from a legal perspective, right? Because then we'll have the legal people there actually gonna write this thing, we're not legal people, so we don't violate a Texas law, right?
Yeah. That just gets the conversation started.
No, I realize that.
One ordinance.
No, I wasn't picking on you, I think it's good that you brought that up.
Sure, just, everybody's gonna have their input in it. It's gonna get tweaked a couple times.
No, I think they get more interesting as we get deeper, but we should probably get faster. So like I said, I don't think a lot of churches have the pews anymore, especially the newer built ones. Although I haven't been to all churches.
Been a while since I've been in one also.
Well, I've been in that church, but I haven't been in one that's had a pew in quite a while, I guess is what I'm gonna say. So whether we use one parking spot for 3 or 4 people is okay, as long as we just need to resolve, is it 3 or 4? We have it at 3 right now, right? If you wanna make it 4, that probably won't cause any heartache, but if we made it 2, that probably would, because everything in existence would be undersized, right?
I think here in St. Paul, I mean, there are a lot of older generation of folks here, so I don't know if the average of household has 4, I think 3 is, I think that's a good number for, seats. I'm more interested in the ones that don't have seats. We don't have a definition for that.
And we should come up with one, or there should be one established. Whether it is prayer mats, as you said, or something else. Which I can't think of.
What is the size of the framework?
I think I asked that question. Eric, you were there when we asked that. I think was that the last meeting?
What's it you asked?
What size of it? Or was it last meeting? I asked what size the prayer mat was. Was it 3 by 6, something like that?
Something like that.
Can't remember. I'll have to go back and look at my notes.
So it's anywhere between 2.5, 4 by, up to 4 by 6.
Up to 4 by 6.
Mm-hmm. So 2.5 by 4 to 4 by 6 is the range it says for a typical prayer room. So that would fall in line with the 20 square foot.
Yeah, like I said, it's been months since I looked at this one. I forgot some of that exact measurement info.
You know, another thing that I don't think I saw, and I looked for this after I noticed it was missing, but I'm not sure that our ordinances specify how many handicap spaces. I know that's a law, right? But
Yeah, this
is that it? Maybe it doesn't mention it because it's a law. I didn't see it in our ordinances.
I just read through the whole 14.1 through 4 here. I don't recall seeing anything about handicap spots.
Right. I'll make a note that we probably need to make sure.
It's like a minimum amount of handicap spots per.
Well, I know you have to have them.
building.
You need to have them, but I don't
talks
know.
about, they have to be legibly striped and signed per TAS standards, our identification. So it's in the presentation of it, but not,
So that talks about handicap?
yeah, that's the only, section 302.1 .3.1, but it only talks about, the appearance of the space, not how many spaces.
Okay.
So that's a definite this way. So on the spacing, just with these two examples, we have like 28 square feet of floor area. That one makes sense to me. I'm not certain about the, if no exceeding them based on 25% maximum capacity of the assembly area as determined by the International Building Code. Eric, do you remember what that is, what that would, or is that over here?
That's the Arlington current code you're looking at, right?
Yeah. So maybe this is the breakdown. 5 net square feet per person, assembly without fixed seats, tables, chairs, 15 net square feet per person. Okay. So, do we wanna go into the fixed seat, not fixed seat part? I think that gets a little too deep. Measuring it exactly, so this one talks about, chairs only, just not fixed, 7 net square feet. Standing space,
Maybe that's the first page.
that's, yeah, that's the very top, right, just past the International Building Code. So it talks about the space, chairs that are not fixed. I think it's really defined.
So with folding chairs or something, 7 square feet, but without chairs, 5 feet.
Yeah. And then chairs and tables. Like it's we don't know what, I guess, we're not gonna know exactly how they're gonna, arrange things inside of a building.
Be a flex type space area.
Yeah. So the 1 parking space for each 3 seats in the main auditorium, that is based on something that's fixed. You can walk in, you can look at.
Unless there is no seats.
So, I mean, some of the ones that have been considered, it's just the size of the building that we're having to go after, go based on, so.
Well, a lot of them say the auditorium or the main worship area.
Yeah.
So it's not the entire size of the building. I mean, there may be a kitchen, there may be, classroom or something like that.
Mhm.
It's the main, from what I saw in several, like I said, I looked at Parker and I looked at Lucas as well. It's the main, I think we call it the main auditorium.
So maybe our,
I think they're trying to hit a max capacity, which will drive the number of parking spaces that would be required. Cause some of these, they could change it to standing room only, well, that would mean there'd have to be more. But if then they switch it to, they've got folding chairs they put out, then that would reduce it, right? So, I don't know how, that's probably something that's gonna have to be further looked into. It's a tough one. Especially if they change it, you're gonna change the number of parking spots each time they change the size. That would be kinda crazy. Well, it would be hard to keep up with it too. The other thing, I think to consider too, Eric, you mentioned the strip mall, and I know we only have a couple of them in town of St. Paul, but when you have a church and a strip mall, there's other patrons or other shops, right? And they take parking spaces too, so.
I mentioned a strip mall. Strip mall, is that what you said?
Didn't I see that in here? Maybe it's what I read in one of the other ordinances, sorry, may not have been.
Well, I had to do it last meeting, it was part of the
sure where I saw it now.
Anyway, go on.
Well, all I was saying is that, if you've got like a restaurant or you've got something else, a shop, where you're selling something, or, if it's retail and it's in and out, that's probably not really what I'm talking about. Something where they also have people there for a period of time, right? That would, they're part of that outdoor strip mall, then.
An office district, or retail store.
Retail store, yeah, maybe that was it, sorry. Then, is that clear in our ordinances? I know it's mentioned. But.
Yeah, I think so, and I kinda looked at schools here on here also, and compared it to what it says for the church, in terms of seats, parking space per seats and stuff, and it's like, well, the main auditorium in the school that has dedicated seats, there's not really gonna be pews or prayer rows.
That's typically not a problem, schools usually have enough parking, right? So if you had a church and a school, which
Right,
we do
right.
around here, that really is typically no problem for parking.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it covers anything with a mixed use.
I probably saw it in one of the other ordinances I looked at. There was one that listed them all. Like, I have to go.
Richardson.
Well, it might be Richard, but I know, probably Parker or Lucas. I didn't look at Richardson, so it wasn't Richardson for me anyway. But that may be something we wanna make sure is there too, right? If there is a mixed use and they're together, sharing the same parking lot, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We probably should list how many would be necessary for each one of those businesses, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, 10 spaces per 1,000 square feet. Would we combine that with the church?
No, I think that's gonna be probably a separate calculation, but, depending on what type of business it is. But when it's sharing parking spaces with like a church or something that has a worship center or something like that, then you still gotta make sure there's enough spaces
For both, at the same time.
for everybody that's there. So maybe if that list, I'm just talking about the add to our ordinance, the different types.
Yeah, yeah.
I think we've got some of that, but I didn't, there was one of the ordinances I looked at that had a lot of them. I don't see a list here. Again, something to consider, I guess. I mean, if we got big, if there was a space that was built, it was for a specific type, that would be a calculation for a parking space. That's what I'm driving at.
I have to look at both of the ordinances for them. They've got a church in it.
Well, I wasn't talking about church, I'm not talking about the other types of businesses, and not necessarily school, because that's pretty regulated, right?
Like restaurants and that sort of thing.
Restaurant, new restaurant, or, I wish I could remember the list, but, I didn't write it down, sorry. I don't think that the size of the parking space, that seemed, when I looked at other places, places that all seem to be pretty consistent. You know, 18 feet in length, 9 feet wide, angles 90 degrees, 60 degrees, 45 degrees. I don't know how many of those we actually have here. That seemed to be pretty standard. So that section, which is 14-3, there might not be that much change in that section, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I also looked at some other things for like that offloading space, that seemed to be pretty typical as well.
Offloading the trucks.
Yeah,
Offloading
this
trucks.
the off-street loading, or sorry, off-street loading space. Not offloading.
Yeah, that, I remember that, that same chart was elsewhere.
But we go into, when we're talking about all that, we talk about, stores and warehouses and hotels and mortuary, and we don't have any, parking requirements for those. So I think the list may be,
That's where I was coming up with the list, list of different types of,
I mean, we can't list them all,
no.
but we don't have that many noted.
And some of these we don't have here, right?
And maybe we just set these up for what we have currently.
14.4 does say for hotels, office buildings, similar establishments.
Yeah,
Right.
but that's just loading space, that's not parking spaces.
Yeah, that's just loading.
No, it says the parking space requirement for a use not specifically mentioned herein shall be the same as required for a use of similar nature.
Yeah, 14.2 is interesting, because it's a floor area, the gross floor area was a specific use, which that kind of confused me, and then it's not really talking about that, it's kind of talking about different types of businesses, right? And then, like you said, parking space requirement for use not specifically mentioned herein shall be the same as required for a use of similar nature, which doesn't say a lot, right?
No.
The gross floor area is the main work area, doesn't include hallways and restrooms.
Right. Right. I took a brief look at that, but since it wasn't really included when we were talking about it today, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. basically I said, I put down, can it be a little more clear, cause I don't think it's very clear. Do you guys think that, or? And I understand the gross floor area, but it's kind of vague. That make sense?
Mhm.
So,
I think this was maybe meant to cover everything else, but it's not very clear. So
everything else
had-
that we
Yeah.
left out, maybe, I mean, on the page one, it does cover gross floor area, under 10,000, and over 10,000.
Mhm.
One's 10 spaces per 1,000 square feet, and the other one's 5.5 per 1,000 foot, over 10,000 square feet. So it kinda gives you that, you have to go back to the first one to read,
Yeah.
to understand the, so maybe it is clear, you just gotta.
It's all referred
Maybe
to.
better wording.
I think it probably would've helped if I know if you're reading them 1, 2, 3, 4, you catch it. But if you'd come in here and you just look for, how do I compute the number of parking spaces, you don't look 14.1 or -1. Maybe if it referenced 14-2, then you said it referenced 14-1, maybe it would be easier. Again, that's kinda nitpicky, I guess, but.
I don't know, it should do a better job referencing what it's talking about.
And that's probably where
Because it just says
14.2 is kinda like the
for above.
catch-all, right?
Yeah, it's just above uses. It's like, that should just say 14-1.
I liked, well, I didn't like it, but R1.5, R1.5 district, which I assume is residential, unless there's some other method. It says 2 parking spaces for each dwelling unit, no required parking spaces shall be located in the required front yard. Now, I know there is a requirement to have a front yard, but you can't park your car there.
Right.
So I guess that's clear, right, or no?
Yeah.
Maybe better to write out exactly what that residential, is that maybe for townhomes?
No, I think, R1.5 is for the residential, I believe.
Total residential?
Yeah, makes sense. Again, I could be wrong, but I think that's right. So,
So maybe next version of that would be helpful.
alright, I'll put that down.
Minimum, that's actually the minimum residential zone.
Okay, I got the minimum.
It also includes, non-conforming lots that may be smaller. That sort
We
of
don't have
thing.
any of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole other subject, but for your definition.
But if you read this and you didn't spend any time in here, you wouldn't have a clue what we're talking about.
Right, that's exactly.
Okay, did you think that the off-street loading spaces would come?
Yeah, what I read.
It's the same stuff everywhere, right, pretty much? And then it goes into the gross floor area. But it kinda starts out with 4 hotels, office buildings, restaurants and similar establishments. Hmm.
We don't have any zoning for hotels either.
Mhm.
We haven't, right?
We don't have zoning for hotels.
Okay. I don't think we have to do any space for it.
Question on hotels. So
Mhm.
there's another thing that's starting to come up to be a little bit of a hot topic is the Airbnbs. So if there's an Airbnb zoning and just say in a residential area, you've got an Airbnb and now there's like single family residential, but let's say someone rents a house and they've got a number of people staying there, I wonder if there's a parking dial down on that you can go to, that's just.
Short-term rentals, right?
Mhm.
Like there's one on the way into downtown, whatever, right? That old house.
Yeah.
Some days there's no parking, no cars, and the next day there's 15.
Right on the corner there?
It's the
Yeah.
older house right on, as you go.
Oh, the
past
historic
tracks,
house.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, they have to raise them.
Okay, there's no, we have nothing in our ordinance for that, right?
It's one of those that just kind of spins off on another subject.
Yeah, that'll
But it's,
touch other ordinances as well.
but considering what could be, if you're looking at what could be.
Very true. I think Anna or some of the other little cities are starting to, charge for like a yearly something for Airbnbs,
Yeah.
rental properties in general.
It's gotta be something to look at because
Mhm.
those calls are increasing. And fortunately, zoning is single family residential, so, but we don't have an ordinance that says how long a piece of property can be leased. So, or if there's a registration process or there's
Yeah.
like I said, that's a whole nother subject, but
But it requires parking.
it could be a thing.
Mhm. I wonder if that house is zoned, it's in Wiley, there's two Airbnbs, there's the one on the corner on the southeast corner, that's an Airbnb. And then the older house that you're speaking of, I wonder if that's zoned business or if it's zoned residential.
It seems to be more of an event center, like wedding reception
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, its attraction is because it's historic, right? Probably.
Mm.
But if they do stay there at night, right?
Maybe,
Right, probably
there's
rent
gotta
that.
be some special considerations for where they're located or what they're classified as, I'm not sure.
Okay, so, let's see if I took good notes so far. I did put down lighting,
Yeah. and I'll look at
parking
that
lighting, but
one.
I know that it's probably in a different area, but I put it down anyway. In case it should be considered parking, seating, and then a seating part, which is lawn, seating versus pews, fixed. Need to determine how much space for the non-fixed seating, with a flex setup, chairs, folding chairs. And I'll clean up some of this. And then I put 302, was it 302.1? That's what road time is, right?
302.3.1.
So there was a 3 in there I missed, okay, sorry. 302.3.1. And then, that's related to handicap, probably needs to be expanded, state law to comply with, or, I mean, I know it's all state or federal, whatever. List of parking spaces for the different types of businesses.
Yeah, I was just checking. That's right.
14-2, can it be a little more clear? I still have that in there. R1.5, which is the minimum requirements for residential zoning. Explain the R1.5, what does it mean?
Yeah,
So you
even
have
the indication of that, if that's what it is, just that in parentheses or something, I think.
minor change, but
Mhm.
helpful, so you don't have to look. And what is it referring to? R1.5. So I can have those a little out of order. And then, no, there's no zoning for a hotel at this time. So even if somebody tried to build one, there's no zoning, you don't have a zoning for it. There may not be parking, but some of those for later, right?
Yeah,
When we get to
yeah.
another section. And then we got into the short-term rentals. And there's nothing in our ordinances currently, and then I wrote, these things aren't related to parking, although there isn't anything about short-term rentals. How long can it be leased? And then basically parking concerns, and what are the requirements for short-term rentals? So I'll bring it back to, but there's other things here that I'm making note of, so okay, when we get to this other section, I'm gonna read generally.
Yeah.
That's what I had.
And you had the mixed use.
I did, it's tied in, sure. Find it. List parking spaces for the different types of businesses.
Yeah, and then maybe a sub-bullet mixed use.
Alright. That's what I had. What else was missing? What else did we not cover? Okay. So what happens after this, as we talk through these things, and we come up with a list, and by the way, I will send these to you, everybody in the P and Z. And then what we'll need to get better at is what's the process after this, right? Like, what do we do? Because eventually they have to go and these have to be or this has to be modified with the newer stuff, with the add-ons, in legal terms. Or somebody has to write them so that they don't violate a law, right? Texas law, or a federal law.
I believe Travis did offer to come with those type things.
Did he?
And not just talking,
Okay.
initially, just kind of run maybe those things across.
Okay. Gotta generate the list. My handwriting is not good to build the list. And then, eventually.
Incorporate him into the.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on that? Cause that, ultimately, then when it gets put into legal verbiage, it has to go to the council. Obviously, we have to approve it, but then it has to go to the council, and then the people, have the personnel that bless it.
I think
Put it
it's
into the real ordinance.
a great start.
Well, this wasn't very long, but, I think we covered it pretty good. What do you think? Is there, now, if after I give you my notes, you go, wait a minute, Gary, you missed something, or I thought of something that we didn't talk about, we can always cover that in the next meeting. Hopefully we'll have, some P and Z meetings where we can talk about this ordinance, so we can make some progress.
Give them a little time for at each one, just to kind of go over the.
We're gonna have to do something to make sure we get through them, or we'll never get through them. But, there's some meetings that go pretty long, and that may be tough on a particular night. So I'm glad there wasn't much of an audience, except you guys.
But there's other ordinance feedbacks forms submitted.
Well, I know, but this is the only one I got, so that's why we covered this tonight. Yes, we'll cover the other ones, and whether they come, the council wants, gives them to us, or they tell you that's the next one we talk about, whatever, doesn't matter to me.
The other forms were, like, complaints on parking and things like that, that's not what you're
Oh,
dealing
okay.
with. The ordinance itself and the feedback on.
So that should have been the citizen concern form, but those should have been.
But that's what council got a copy of all those, and we went through those on the last meeting. There were several, and there were no action because a couple of them were not legal to discuss that way. That sort of thing.
I think I'm gonna add one more, you guys tell me if this is okay. I think there should be consideration for whoever the legal person is, okay? There's a lot of laws that get put in place by Texas legislature. So anything that's missing, you know, if there's something that's there that needs to apply to our town, that probably should be added, if it's relative to parking, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So update based on overall governance, whether state, county.
Based on new laws, regulations, laws.
Ordinances can say subject to new laws that were in effect at the time it was written or something like that too.
Yeah, I don't know either, but that's a legal person's. And they may say it's probably may not be necessary, even though it's a new law, it doesn't apply to you guys, but that's a legal person.
So as far as the number of parking spaces, we'll wait for the ordinance recommendation.
Well, I think when you've got fixed seating, which I'm not sure how popular that is nowadays, I mean, obviously in a restaurant it might be, it's still fixed, they move tables around all the time, right?
Yeah.
But
But they'll have an occupancy.
yeah, there will be an occupancy for somebody like that, like there is here. I don't remember what it was, 41. So, that may be something that has to be taken into account, should be considered too, the occupancy rate of the auditorium or whatever, when there's no fixed seating pattern.
Yeah, there is at least a baseline.
I mean, you know they can't go over that, they're just not supposed to.
Right.
we wanna talk about for our first go round on this one, on parking? Now, again, another thought, okay, so I'll give you guys copies of my notes, the list, and then, at the next meeting, we can talk about, is that complete? And at that point in time, maybe pass it on upward to somebody legal. And then we'll also work on the next one, you know, if we have time. So we're not gonna stop, but then if you guys agree with this list, we could approve it. The list is, maybe it's part of the notes of the meeting agenda that we approve. I'm just trying to make it so we can move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but we'll get
Some
better at
method.
it, at least, just a thought, and then after this gets approved, then we'll move on, we'll work that session, and we'll work on the next ordinance, whatever that is.
So, I guess the question would be just like, here, taking on a new subject, tracking a new subject, like a short-term rental. It's a zoning that we don't have.
Well, that's, yeah.
That's a deep subject, but I can see where it would be an issue for parking, possibly in a residential neighborhood.
Yeah. This is
So
gonna,
maybe we have your list, but then we also have the offshoot.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
from the
The
news,
running
the
list.
rabbit hole, the new rabbit hole.
we know that short-term rentals are a problem in certain, like Dallas has a problem with them.
I hear
It's on the
about
news.
problems, but yeah, but is that something that?
I don't know.
That if enough people disagree with them entirely, that could not be permitted in the town at all?
It's, I've had this discussion with our attorney, and it is a really deep subject, and if you don't have anything in place, you cannot prevent a residential property from being leased. Because we don't have anything set up for registration, we have nothing,
Right,
so
correct.
it's still,
Is that
but
something that could be in place if enough people are for something or against something like that?
probably be, really, it really has to be specific, but being close to the land, it's probably a really good idea to start thinking about those things.
Okay, I'll start with that one.
And I do get enough calls that I think it is, could be, we're starting to get more and more calls, emails. And all I can really tell anybody is our minimum zoning is, you know, for single-family residential, so if it's a single family renting it, they can rent it.
All right, so anything else you wanna add to this list based on the four parking ordinances? Any thoughts? No?
No.
I believe that was the only thing we had on the agenda, right?
Yes.
On the agenda, right?
Right here.
Okay. All right, then I guess if we are done with what we discussed tonight, or we're supposed to discuss for 3.1. Somebody wanna give me a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second that.
I'm not gonna ask if it's in favor, 'cause you guys are gonna say it.